Huge waves, high winds, falling overboard, raw sewage. Cruises aren't always smooth sailing. According to the Cruise Lines International Association, about 19 to 25 people worldwide fall overboard from cruise ships each year, and the survival rate is not very good. About 17 to 25% of people who fall off of cruise ships will survive. A lot of cases of people falling overboard are caused by intoxication, reckless behavior, or a combination of the two, while some people intentionally jump, and others fall victim to poor safety measures, such as low railings and slippery decks.
Sarah Kirby is one of the few people in the world who knows what it's like to fall off a cruise ship and live to tell about it.
Felt hopeless. Helpless and hopeless. It's pitch black out there. There's no land, there's no lights. I kept praying to God, please don't let something eat me like a shark.
Most of the time, storms and rough seas are navigated around, but sometimes captains are dumb. On February 6, 2016, the Royal Caribbean ship Anthem of the Seas departed from Bayonne, New Jersey, on what was supposed to be a 7-day cruise to the Bahamas. About 24 hours into the journey, off the coast of Cape Hatteras, North Carolina, the ship encountered severe weather. Passengers were told to take shelter in their rooms as 30-foot waves and winds of more than 100 miles per hour battered the ship. What they'd sailed into was later dubbed Winter Storm Mars, and now there was nothing passengers and crew could do but ride it out. The interior of the ship was wrecked due to the intense rocking, and passengers were left fearing for their lives. Many thought that the ship would sink. Thankfully, on the morning of February 8th, the weather began to clear up, and the ship was able to navigate back to New Jersey.
There were seriously moments where I didn't think we were going to make it.
It was unbelievable. Never been on a ride like that in my life, believe me.
Royal Caribbean knew all about this storm, but thought that a ship the size of the Anthem of the Seas could handle what was forecasted. Unfortunately, the storm unexpectedly and rapidly intensified. After this disastrous trip, Royal Caribbean offered a full refund to every passenger on board, and even offered half off another cruise, because after that cruise, every passenger on board clearly wanted to take another one. Falling overboard, rough seas, and bad weather aren't the only undesirable outcomes when taking a cruise. Plumbing issues can also ruin your vacation. Plumbing issues are quite common on cruise ships because they rely on powerful, sensitive vacuum systems rather than gravity. These systems use extreme suction and very little water, making them highly susceptible to clogs. Typically, these clogs are easily resolved by crew members unclogging from the hidden compartments in the hallway, but this is the least of your worries. Water main breaks on cruise ships are more common than you might think, and they can quickly flood your floor and room. Despite the minor inconvenience of having all of your shit soaked with water, luckily water main breaks are cleaned up pretty quickly. Now these things are nothing compared to how badly things can go, and of course I'm going to be talking about the poop cruise from hell. On February 7, 2013, the Carnival Triumph departed from Galveston, Texas, on a 4-day round-trip journey to Cozumel, Mexico. 3 days into the journey on February 10th at 5:30 a.m., there was a small fire in one of the engine rooms.
Folks, there's no need to be at the muster stations. We do ask at this time that you do proceed back to your staterooms, back to your cabins. As I say, there is a situation in the engine control room, in the engine room, but it is under control. So we do ask that you please make your way back to your cabins at this time. There's no need to be waiting in the muster stations. Thank you.
It was quickly extinguished and no one was injured, but the problems that this small fire would go on to cause would become legendary. As a result of the fire, the ship lost power and propulsion, leaving it stranded in the Gulf of Mexico, and even worse, without any functional plumbing. Raw sewage began to back up into passenger deck areas, resulting in a horrendous stench, and passengers were asked to poop into biohazard bags and urinate in their showers.
As you probably know by now, the toilets are not flushing and it's going to start causing a little bit of a problem in a short while. So we've come up with a plan. So folks, what we're going to do is we're going to deliver some red bags to all of the bathrooms on board, including the stateroom bathrooms, your cabin bathrooms. And if you do need to do a number 2, we ask that you please do deposit that into the red bags, and then we're going to put metal bins in the corridors on every deck on the ship. If you would be so kind as to drop them into the metal bins in the corridors, that would be fantastic. And if you do need to do a number 1, everybody, to say filling up the toilet bowls, if you can do it in the shower, That would be brilliant. I know it's not the best scenario, folks, but it seems like the best option that we have right now. So once again, we're going to deliver some red bags to your cabins, to the bathrooms, if you can. If you need to do a number 2, you need to poop, please do it in the red bag and drop it off in the bins, in the corridors. And if you need to do a number 1, that's a wee, please do it in the shower.
In the days that followed, these bags filled with human waste would be piled up along the hallway outside passengers' cabin doors. The stranded boat was left without functioning engines, helplessly drifting in the Gulf of Mexico, slowly being carried north by currents as it awaited help. Tugboats were deployed to help guide the ship to shore, and ultimately, the plan was to dock in Mobile, Alabama. On the afternoon of February 13th, 2 tugboats finally arrived to assist the ship to port, and a third was expected to arrive that evening. By this time, emergency generators had restored some of the ship's essential functions, but the engine and plumbing remained broken. They were hoping to reach port in Mobile the next day in the afternoon, but strong winds delayed this. More tugboats were brought in to assist, with a total of 4 pushing the ship with 1 on standby. A tow line broke, which delayed the arrival further, but at 9:20 p.m. on February 14th, the ship finally arrived at port in Mobile, Alabama.
Overnight, the sweet taste of terra firma.
I'm speechless. It's just really great to finally be back in America and on land.
Just before midnight, the more than 3,000 passengers stranded for 8 days at sea began spilling out of the ship, some angry.
It's degrading, demoralizing, and then they want to insult us by giving us $500.
There was a little bit of bad publicity with the Carnival Triumph after all this, so Carnival Cruise Lines decided that it needed a $200 million refurbishment and a name change to the Carnival Sunrise. Problem solved. Although frequent hand washing and the use of hand sanitizer is highly encouraged by crew members, cruise ships are still floating disease pits, and when viruses are brought on board, they can spread very quickly. In June of 2026, 102 passengers and 23 crew members were stricken by norovirus on board the Ruby Princess during its 20-day round-trip journey from San Francisco to Canada and Alaska and back.
Passengers boarded a Princess cruise ship docked in the city for deep cleaning after a norovirus outbreak during its last voyage.
Yikes.
Norovirus is highly contagious and is often spread by food or on surfaces. Its symptoms include sudden onset vomiting, diarrhea, and stomach pain. Luckily, these symptoms typically only last from 1 to 3 days. And of course, we can't forget about the outbreak of the hantavirus that took place on a cruise ship in April of 2026. On April 1st, 2026, the Dutch cruise ship the MV Hondius departed from Ushuaia, Argentina, with plans to visit Antarctica and several islands in the Atlantic. On April 6th, a 70-year-old Dutchman on board fell ill with a fever, headache, and mild diarrhea. 5 days later, on April 11th, he began experiencing respiratory distress, and ultimately passed away by the end of that day. The cause of his passing at that point had yet to be determined. His wife then fell ill with very similar symptoms and soon after also passed away. Several other passengers began to fall ill as well, and eventually one tested positive for Andes virus, a form of hantavirus. Subsequent tests of others showing symptoms and posthumous tests from those who had passed would also come back positive for the virus. Ultimately, 13 people tested positive for the Andes hantavirus, and 3 passed away from it. Thankfully, the spread was contained due to quarantining and due to the fact that the virus only rarely spreads from human to human through close, prolonged contact with someone who's showing symptoms. Anyway, if you're planning on going on a cruise sometime soon, then have fun. Thanks for watching.